This is my book Out of Ashes, and somebody said it was their first fantasy book they've ever read, and it was like not too overwhelming for them. So I'm going to share some of the books that I think are not too overwhelming for a first-time fantasy reader. Let's go. Belladonna is set in a Victorian era, very realistic setting, maybe not, I don't know if it's historically correct, you know, it's fantasy, but there is some interactions with death, but as far as the real world, it is, like, relatable. It's also very similar to my book. By accident, I didn't even read this book before I wrote mine, so, you know, anyway. Any of the Shadowhunters books by Cassandra Clare, some of them are set in the modern era, like the Mortal Instruments, and this is the Dark Artifices, and it is about like hearth angels saving the world from vampires, werewolves. Some of the vampires and werewolves are good, some of the warlocks are good, some of the fairies are good. You never know who's good and bad, but yeah, it's an urban fantasy. Once a Future Witches actually incorporates a lot of like the women's movement with the suffragettes into the story, and with the addition of magic and witches that did exist, they disappeared and now they're back again. But again, the real world is very much a real world, so it's very easy to follow. Now the Poison Diaries, nobody reads, like, I've never seen this on TikTok before, so here it is, the Poison Diaries. Again, it's like a recent history set in a, is it Victorian? I can't remember, maybe pre-Victorian. But yes, it is a very realistic world. The fantasy elements are very minimal, but they are definitely there, with a very curious, interesting character who has a connection to plants, and the main character, she's very into like herbs and stuff, and I think she's a little bit similar to my character, but again different, like, but yeah, it's on a par, like I put them in the same category, definitely. Serpent and Dove, like, it's a fictional historical sort of Paris maybe, but maybe like, I don't know, but yeah, again, it's a realistic world with a strong French influence that just happens to have witches. You know, just perfectly normal for fantasy readers. To Kill a Kingdom is a dark retelling of The Little Mermaid, even though it's YA, but it's not overwhelming if you already know The Little Mermaid.